Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Volume 2 of Stranger Things Season 5 just dropped, and if you thought the first 4 episodes were intense, you haven't seen anything yet. In the first volume, Holly Wheeler and 11 more kids were taken, and Max is hiding in a cave within Henry's memory. Meanwhile, 11 and Hopper find 8 in a military lab. Vecna finally showed his face at Max Z, while taunting Will that his 1983 kidnapping was the blueprint for everything. And to top it all, Will's connection to the hive mind runs deeper than anyone thought. He can see through Vecna's eyes and even tap through his powers to make it seem that Demogorgons are nothing but breakable toys. Our heroes are now split between Hawkins and the Upside Down, but their goal still aligns. They must stop Vecna's plan before it's too late. However, before we continue, please ensure you're subscribed and hit the notification icon so you don't miss any of our content. And if you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like. This really helps the channel. Now it's time to get into it. Let's dive right in. Joyce pulls Will into a hug, still trying to process what just happened. Mike runs over, announcing that Will is a real sorcerer. However, Will believes he failed them because every child got caught by Vecna, completing the 12 vessels he needed. But there's no time to dwell on it. Seeing helicopters approach, they quickly escape into the tunnels. Elsewhere, the Demogorgons trap the children in the same kind of spire where Holly is. They wake up in a field and find Henry, who leads them to his home, where Holly waits. Once everyone gathers, Henry tells them about another world he encountered, one filled with light and no monsters. He's chosen them because they're special, with dormant powers in their minds. By awakening these powers, they can work together to draw the two worlds together and expel the darkness, making them heroes. When Holly asks if Henry will leave again, he promises he won't. In the military lab, soldiers led by Dr. K destroy the sealed door to where 8 is. However, Dr. K notices something odd about 8's movements and realizes that this 8 is nothing but an illusion. Elsewhere, 8 reports she lost the illusion since they're far away. Hopper compliments her and comments on how 8 influenced 11's vocabulary. 8 admits she's a bad influence, but Hopper welcomes her to the club. In the tunnels, Mike, Joyce, and Will find an injured Lucas. Lucas apologizes for being unable to save the kids, but Will comforts him, even complimenting Lucas's swing. As they move, Lucas learns what Will did to the Demogorgons and calls him Will the Wise. Will explains that he doesn't actually have powers. He's only siphoning Vecna's by being near the hive mind. He believes Vecna won't come back because he already has his vessels. Lucas points out that November 6th is the day it all started, and he's sure it's also the day it ends. They resurface, but Joyce privately talks with Will. She asks if there's any way to jack back into the hive mind to access Vecna's power. She points out that what he did was extraordinary. Joyce believes Vecna still underestimates Will and announces it'll be Vecna's last mistake. In the Upside Down, Hopper, 11, and 8 arrive at where Steve's car crashed into the wall. As they head to the meeting location, 11 confronts Hopper about his plan to fight Vecna alone. He makes an excuse that the bomb is a failsafe, but 11 knows better. Their conversation is cut short when 8 gets out of the church and points out that 11's friends aren't there. Meanwhile, Nancy's group enters Hawkins' lab in the Upside Down. Dustin explains that the circular flesh wall is like Vecna's version of an energy shield, created by dark magic. Based on his calculations, the shield generator is within Hawkins' lab. By finding it, they can destroy Vecna's wall and save Holly. They split into 2 teams. Nancy and Jonathan head up, while Steve and Dustin go down. In Henry's mind, Holly sneaks out into the woods, where Max meets her. Holly explains that Henry's planning to draw another world to Earth tomorrow, claiming it's to save Earth, but she's sure it's meant to destroy it. A sound makes them stop, and they find Derek hiding. He explains he's now friends with Mike, Will, Lucas, Erica, Mrs. Byers, and Miss Robin, and how they tried to save the other children. When he noticed Holly's reaction earlier with Henry, he followed her. Holly comes up with an idea. Though Derek can't escape with them, he can help by reverting to his unpleasant personality to create a distraction. At WSQK, Joyce shares her plan of getting Will close to the hive mind and having him go for Vecna. However, only Dustin knows how to build a telemetry tracker, so Robin suggests driving Will around as a human antenna. They decide to take a break and eat. Lucas and Erica each present ideas. Erica suggests having Mr. Scott Clark create the tracker, while Lucas proposes using the 50,000 watts in the WSQK tower to shock the particles back to life in a dead Demogorgon, creating an instant hive mind. The siblings argue about which plan is better, but Joyce says they should do both and hope one works. In Hawkins' lab, Steve and Dustin reach the playroom and split up to search. Meanwhile, Jonathan and Nancy search upstairs. Jonathan confronts Nancy about their relationship, pointing out her hesitation when they teamed up earlier. Nancy confronts him about whether he's been completely honest with her. Jonathan hesitates, then notices a door with a melted doorknob. They force it open and proceed up the melted stairs. Outside the church in the Upside Down, Hopper tries to radio Nancy's group. Inside, 11 and 8 talk. 11 apologizes for not looking for her sooner and asks for her help to find and end Henry. 8 shares how she got caught and reveals that the lab is infusing her blood into pregnant women to create more numbers survivors like them. She explains that Dr. K is trying to replicate Papa's program, which used Henry's blood. 8 says that while most are poor imitations of Henry, only 11 is truly like him. She shows 11 an illusion of how she'll be used like Henry and how they'll never be truly free. 11 breaks the illusion. Elsewhere, Derek creates a distraction by entering the woods, while Max and Holly search for an exit. Max explains they need to find Henry's first memory of Holly and follow it to the night she got captured. Holly says they'll then escape Camazotz, referring to that mind prison they're in. Max agrees, and they proceed. At WSQK, Will and Robin work together. Robin shares how telling Steve about herself lifted a weight off her chest, which surprises Will. In Camazotz, Max and Holly find a floating door. It leads then to a memory of a Halloween movie night with her best friend Mary in a basement. Max explains that even if Holly hasn't met Henry yet in this memory, it doesn't mean he wasn't there. They then notice Henry outside the window, watching. Max asks when Holly first met Henry, and Holly remembers it was in the library. They find the memory and watch as Henry introduces himself to Holly. In Hawkins' lab in the Upside Down, Steve and Dustin argue about the mission, Eddie, and their friendship. The argument escalates into a physical fight before they settle down. Steve leaves, and Dustin discovers Dr. Brenner's office has a map similar to his. The upper floors of the lab, Nancy and Jonathan find dead people stuck everywhere on the melted floor and walls as they head to the roof. There, Nancy notices a shift in light. Something's there but invisible. In Camazotz, Henry finds Derek and threatens him. Meanwhile, Max and Holly discover a memory on the merry-go-round after Holly destroys the center with her fire poker. As they look in, they find the memory of how Holly was taken. At WSQK, they set up the dead Demogorgon. Robin cranks up the electricity, and black nerves protrude from its skin. Will enters the hive mind and sees through Derek's POV. Derek reveals that Henry's looking for Holly, who was tricked by a red-haired girl called Max. The group learns that Vecna is hunting for them. In Camazotz, Max and Holly find the exit, but a door appears, closing it. Henry appears and transforms into Vecna. He grabs Max by the neck and lifts her up. In the right side up, Max's heart monitor beeps erratically. At WSQK, Will successfully infiltrates Vecna's mind and takes control, breaking Vecna's leg. This makes Vecna drop Max and scream in pain. Will shouts for Max to run. Max and Holly flee while Vecna regenerates and forces Will out of his mind. Will flies off and loses consciousness as Lucas shouts for Robin to crank up the power. The Demogorgon's body burns, and particles shoot into the sky. In the Upside Down, Jonathan throws a pipe at the invisible object, and they see something spherical materialize briefly. Meanwhile, Dustin reads Brenner's notes and realizes something's wrong. He hears Jonathan report that they found the shield generator, and Dustin warns them not to touch it, but his message doesn't go through as Dustin runs up shouting that it's not a shield generator. Nancy prepares to shoot. Dustin warns they'll die if they destroy it, but they don't hear him. Jonathan asks if Nancy's sure. She admits she's not, but she still shoots. Dustin continues running up, shouting at the radio, and encounters Steve, but he pays no attention and continues upward. At Nancy's shot, nothing happens at first, but the object finally materializes into a swirling sphere of black and red light. The couple tries to flee, but they're both knocked away. The sphere blasts waves of energy visible throughout the entire Upside Down. The wave reaches the wall. Hopper, 11, and 8 see it happen from near the church. Elsewhere, Scott wakes up to loud knocking at 5:12 a.m. He finds Erica asking him to build a telemetry tracker, with Murray beside her. Scott is about to shut the door, but Erica stops him, saying Dustin is in life or death danger. In the Upside Down, Dustin regains consciousness. Steve asks if it was the shield generator. Dustin says he was wrong and explains finding Brenner's journal. The wall isn't a shield generator and Vecna didn't make it. Science did. He explains about exotic matter keeping the wall intact. But beyond that wall, there's nothing. No Vecna, no Holly, only death. At the rooftop, everything melts around Nancy and Jonathan's unconscious bodies. At the wall, Steve's car starts getting sucked in, then stops. Hopper, 11, and 8 see this. The car suddenly gets pulled from the other side, and other things start getting sucked in. A piece of ground tears off, and 11 notices it's a gate. She decides they can make it despite the flying debris. Hopper doesn't agree, but 11 proceeds, forcing him to follow. She uses her power to protect them as they reach the gate. Meanwhile, Dustin tells Steve they've been wrong about the Upside Down. It's not another dimension but a wormhole, a bridge between their world and another. If this bridge collapses, everyone will be taken with it. Beyond the wall, Steve's car flies off with the rest of the debris. In Camazotz, Max and Holly run back into the cave. Henry chases them and says he'll hurt Max if Holly doesn't come with him. When Henry claims Max is a liar, Holly says she's seen what he truly is. Henry threatens her again with Max's life, so Max challenges him, reminding him of his fear. Henry says there are other ways and warns that Max's life is in Holly's hands. Henry leaves them. November 6th dawns on Hawkins. At WSQK, Will is still unconscious. Lucas, Mike, and Robin brainstorm about Max's coma. Robin gets an idea and uses 3 music records to represent them and explain her theory. The clash for Will Will, Tiffany for Holly, and Kate Bush for Max. Though they're all in different locations, they're all similarly unconscious. She believes their minds are imprisoned in Vecna's mind, and now Max and Holly are trying to break out. Once they succeed, their minds will return to their bodies. Since they're in Vecna's mind, they might know everything. Believing her, Mike tells Robin to take Joyce's car to the hospital with Lucas while he stays with Will. Somewhere, Will is trapped in vines. Vecna reminds him of the past, revealing that the tunnels were actually made by Will each night he slept. There's much power in Will, but it still belongs to Vecna. He's stronger than ever because of the vessels and shares his plan for a better world. Will says it will never exist since Max has one of his vessels. Vecna disregards this, saying Will will be his spy for the last time. Despite Will's resistance, Vecna forces him. In Camazotz, Holly looks at the woods through a spyglass. She worries that Henry's telling the truth about having other ways to get to Max. Max doesn't believe him and says they should wait for 11. They discuss how Henry can't go into the cave. Max thinks it's connected to a traumatic memory. This makes Holly think they can also escape through Henry's traumatic memory. Max says it's only sand beyond the cave, but Holly believes there might be more and walks to the desert. So Max follows. At WSQK, a funeral car arrives with Hopper, 11, and 8 in it. 11 introduces her sister to Mike. Noticing the others aren't there, 11 checks on Will, who's still unconscious. In the Upside Down, Dustin goes through Brenner's journal. Steve decides to move up to try to contact Nancy and Jonathan. They reach a different space and find the exotic matter above them. Meanwhile, Jonathan wakes up in a melted room and wakes Nancy as well. They try to get out, but the knob melted, and more melted material drips from above. At WSQK, 11 prepares to search for Will with a blindfold and headset. Meanwhile, Hopper and 8 argue. Mike learns that 8 thinks this is pointless because it won't end with ending Henry. The electricity fluctuates, and Mike realizes it's 11. He rushes to her and learns she can't reach Will. Hopper suggests improving her signal. In the hospital, Lucas rushes in with Robin. The station nurse shouts after Robin. At the elevator, Vicky pulls Robin away, leaving Lucas to find Max. Vicky tells Robin that security is looking for her because of the sedatives. In Max's room, Lucas plays her music. In Camazotz, Holly and Max search the desert. Holly looks through the spyglass with its cover on. She sees a hole and realizes it has the same outline as the cave. Holly leads the walk back. In the Upside Down, Steve heads up the stairs despite Dustin's warning. Part of the stairs falls off. Meanwhile, Nancy and Jonathan try to escape. Nancy breaks a chair leg and hits the door. Melted material spills into the room. Part of the ceiling breaks. To save themselves, they get on top of the table and shout for help. In Hopper's cabin, they prepare 11's tank. Meanwhile, Hopper comforts Joyce, who admits she pushed Will into facing Vecna. Hopper says what happened is not on her. In another room, Mike asks 11 about what 8 said. 11 reveals that a lab in the Upside Down is restarting Papa's program to create more numbers. Mike suggests destroying the lab. 11 explains that even without a lab, they can still make more numbers for Henry's blood runs within her. Mike points out the military won't leave her alone, which is why they've been planning to move. 11 says it's not one of his campaigns where he gets to write the ending. Mike says that with their party together, they can do it, starting by getting Will back. Elsewhere, Will remains trapped as he's forced to reveal where Max is. In Camazotz, Holly checks through the spyglass with the cap on. She explains this might be a map Henry made as a kid. Holly walks back to align the cutout shape to the cave. She unexpectedly falls into a hole, but Max catches her. In the hospital, Vicky paces. She dismisses what Robin said as withdrawal. Robin hears something outside and sees a soldier searching for her. Robin apologizes to Vicky before heading out. Another soldier appears, cornering her. In the Upside Down, Steve grabs a ladder to bridge the melted stairs. Dustin tries to stop him. As Steve tries to climb, Dustin pulls him back. He scolds Steve for always trying to get himself killed. He tearfully says he can't deal with another death. Dustin hugs Steve. The ladder falls when the stairs melt further. Meanwhile, Nancy and Jonathan's table tilts as they shout for help. They finally become honest, admitting what they hate about one another and the lies they've told. Jonathan admits he never applied to Emerson, and Nancy says she knows. Jonathan says it felt like going against the natural order. Their shared trauma ties them together. Nancy admits she could have visited him, but needed space. Jonathan asks if it's space with someone. Nancy clarifies that Steve's a good guy, but they're just different. As his last confession, Jonathan hands her a cassette tape. Nancy opens it and finds the ring. Jonathan asks if she will not marry him. He admits this made him think it would fix everything, but it'll only make things worse. He asks if she accepts his unproposal. Nancy accepts. They say they love each other. When the ring drops, they realize the melting stopped and they hug in celebration. In Hopper's cabin, 11 gets in the tub. She finds Will with vines crawling toward him. She uses her powers to free him. In Camazotz, Max and Holly explore underground and find a man holding a suitcase. He points a gun at them. Young Henry suddenly appears. He claims he won't hurt the man, but the man shoots at him. Young Henry finishes him with a rock. Max pulls Holly away from the memory. Holly is confused why the man shot at Henry when he was trying to help. She thinks this is what made Henry bad. Max simply says they must move on. Max removes rocks from a dead end and hears her song song playing. However, Holly looks back, watching Henry open the suitcase. Max calls Holly, saying the exit is there. In the hospital, Max's heart rate increases. Elsewhere, Will recalls how Vecna forced into his mind and found Max's location. 11 hugs Will. He tells her that Vecna saw where Max is and sent them for her. 11 gets out of the tank and checks on Will. She tells the others that Vecna's after Max. In the hospital, soldiers take Robin away. Vicky claims Robin is in withdrawal. When the lights flicker, Robin says they must evacuate. They ignore her. So Robin frees herself and explains they'll die if they don't get everyone out. A demodog suddenly appears. The soldiers shoot at it, but it goes after them. Robin runs pulling Vicky. More demodogs appear, but ignore them. Robin asks Vicky about another exit. Vicky mentions the basement. Robin tries to call Lucas, but he won't answer. So Vicky makes Robin publicly announce the demodogs and the basement exit. Lucas hears this, and so does Karen. Lucas quickly carries Max away with the radio. He makes it to the elevator and kicks off a demodog as the doors close. In another room, Karen pulls out her tubes. She walks to the door and sees oxygen tanks. Lucas meets Robin and Vicky in the basement. Surrounded, they go to the laundry room and hide. Vicky and Robin apologize to one another, and Robin promises to make it up to her. Nearby, the demodogs destroy the door. Kate Bush plays on the radio and Robin says they should close it. Lucas refuses, saying Max is returning. In Kamazatz, Holly and Max struggle to get through the rocks. Once through, they make their way to the exit. Returning to the hospital, demodogs are almost upon them when a clanging sound attracts everyone's attention. Set in a hot temperature, the washing machine operates with a flammable oxygen tank inside. The tank blows up, taking out all the demodogs. Through the smoke, they see Karen appear. In Kamazatz, Max and Holly find an exit where Lucas is carrying Max. Max stops Holly, saying she can't come with her. Holly must find her own exit toward her own body. Holly says she doesn't have Kate Bush. Max explains music isn't the only way back. Having something meaningful that connects her to the real world is enough. It should make her feel safe, give her strength and hope. Holly touches her necklace, thinking of Holly the heroic. Max says she's there with Holly now and also with her in the real world. She encourages Holly to think about what Holly the heroic means. Holly says it's just a toy. Max asks why she's carrying it everywhere. Holly repeats how Mike described Holly the heroic and assured Holly can become her. However, Holly recalls standing still when her mom got attacked, similar to watching when Vecna attacked Max. Max says there's nothing Holly could do then. Instead, she points out how Holly entered the woods despite Henry's warning, followed Max into the cave, returned to Henry despite danger, and never gave up when Max already did. Max was stuck for so long, but when Holly came, she finally could escape because Holly helped her find a way out. Max says Holly the heroic isn't only a toy, she's Holly. An exit suddenly appears, revealing the location of Holly's body. The two hug, promising to see each other on the other side. They part, walking to their respective exits. But soon, they run toward the portals. 2 episodes in. If you made it this far, please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing and liking this video. Now, let's pick up where we left off. Lucas calls out to Max, who finally regains consciousness in her body. When she says she can't feel much, Vicky explains her body needs time to readjust. Max tells Lucas she saw him waiting for her, playing her song. Lucas jokes he's bored with it now, and Max admits she didn't need the song. She just needed Lucas. They hug as he helps her sit up. Mike, 11, Hopper, and 8 arrive. Max asks where they are, and Robin explains they're at the hospital and how Mrs. Wheeler's laundry saved them. Max warns that Vecna will be furious that they escaped. Mike then asks about Holly. Elsewhere, Holly wakes up in Vecna's lair. She tears through the flesh binding her, removes the vine feeding her particles, and pukes out what invaded her body. Spotting Vecna, she runs into a deserted place that looks different from Max's description. When Vecna moves, Holly flees. In the Upside Down, Jonathan tries to destroy a door, but Nancy stops him. Soon, Steve breaks through a wall to rescue them. Dustin hugs Nancy, saying they thought they were goners. They discuss how Dustin tried to warn them, but their radio antenna snapped. Dustin explains Nancy shot an exotic matter, and Brenner's notebook shows Holly isn't anywhere in the Upside Down. Elsewhere, Holly runs from Vecna and trips, finding a gate. Remembering Max's advice, she opens it and crawls through as Vecna approaches. She reaches the Upside Down, but now she's falling, screaming. At Hawkins' lab, still in the Upside Down, Nancy hears the scream and everyone runs toward it. In Hawkins, Scott leads Erica and Murray in flying balloons to get a signal. When Murray suggests giving up, Scott cuts his balloon string and gets a signal. The others do the same, pinpoint Dustin's signal, and Scott runs to compute it. At Hopper's cabin, Will recalls Vecna forcing him to spy. Joyce says Max is safe thanks to Will, but he's not reassured. If Lucas's theory is right, today is the day. Crying, Will says Vecna chose him because he was weak and used him to build tunnels and infect Hawkins. He blames himself for the deaths and worries about Vecna having 12 vessels. Joyce says Vecna lost Holly, and she can lead them to the others. However, Will keeps blaming himself. At Hawkins' hospital, military vehicles arrive. In the basement, Max explains that she told Holly to hide at their home in the Upside Down. Erica radios Lucas while others plan. Mike suggests infiltrating May CZ, but Hopper says there'll be reinforcements. reinforcements. 11 suggests breaking through a plate. Seeing Karen's confusion, they explain how the Upside Down is basically Hawkins, but worse. Lucas returns with news about Erica's plan involving Mr. Clark. Vicky warns that soldiers are there. As they escape, Karen stumbles and Mike helps her. Vicky tells Karen she's not fine. Mike says she saved them, and this group will save Holly like they saved Will. Karen finally listens. Later, Mike's group and Erica's group meet outside Hawkins' lab. Before catching up, Murray shouts he's got Dustin. Mike grabs the radio and tells Dustin about Holly. Dustin says they found her, but the connection suddenly cuts. Robin smiles. She heard Dustin say they found Holly. Hopper leads everyone to head to the Upside Down. When they reach a corner, Hopper spots cameras. Scott offers help, but Hopper says not to overthink it. 11 then destroys the cameras. She lifts a metal plate and throws it off. Everyone except Lucas and Max enters the Upside Down. They find Dustin's group and learn that Holly fell, shouted for help, and was pulled back up. Nancy thinks Vecna did it. Elsewhere, Vecna brings Holly back to the vessels and binds her again. In a military clinic, Sullivan reports to Dr. K about the demon that crushed them. Dr. K tells Akers to eliminate whatever gets in their way. They must focus on finding the girl who caused everything. When she leaves, Akers receives a breach report. At WSQK, Will hugs Max and they discuss his becoming a sorcerer. Lucas gives Max a tour but notices her worry. He says they'll get Holly back. Max worries about Holly being alone with Vecna. Lucas says they need Max since she's been in Vecna's mind. Dustin says he knows where Holly is, but getting there will be challenging. Everyone soon gathers. Dustin explains the Upside Down isn't another dimension. It's an interdimensional bridge ripping through space and time, held together by exotic matter. It's a wormhole connecting Hawkins to the Abyss, a place of pure chaos and evil. The Demogorgons, Vines, Mind Flayer, and everything else originated from the Abyss. It's also where 11 banished Henry, but Brenner had 11 find him. Her remote contact with the Abyss formed the bridge that Vecna has been using to reach Hawkins. After they beat him before, he fled to the Abyss to recover. Vecna being in the sky explains why they couldn't find him during their crawl, why 11 couldn't find him in the bath, and why Holly fell from the sky. Will explains that children's minds are weaker and easier to mold. When Vecna channels through a vessel, it amplifies his abilities. Mike says they need to figure out how to get up there, enter the Abyss, free the kids, and end Vecna before the worlds merge. Lucas reminds them that everything ends today, November 6th. Everyone hates Lucas's theory, but Hopper says he hates everything. Now they need a plan. In Camazotz, Henry carries Holly to bed. He talks to the kids, making them believe Max is a monster, and Holly refuses to listen. He twists the truth, cleverly urging the children to convince Holly to return to the light. In Hawkins, the military checks the broken cameras. Akers recognizes 11's work and tells his subordinate to prepare. At WSQK, Hopper suggests flying a helicopter, but the plan has problems. The others joke, and Hopper tells them to shut it unless they have a magic beam. Steve shouts for attention and shares his plan to use the radio tower. Since Vecna is drawing the worlds together, they can wait. Once close enough, they can poke the Abyss with the radio tower through the rifts. 11 can enter Vecna's mind and ambush him, stopping the merge. Everyone prefers this plan, but 11 says she's not close enough. Nancy says they can bring 11 closer by using the bath in the Hawkins lab in the Upside Down. Max can guide her through Vecna's mind, while 8 will fight alongside her. Dustin adds that they should bomb the exotic matter as they leave to destroy the bridge. In Camazotz, Holly wakes panicking. Mary calms her and the kids welcome her back. She tries making them listen, but they believe Henry. Holly asks Derek to tell the truth. Recalling his family, Derek lies, saying Max lied. Holly moves toward her dresser. As the others try getting Holly to join them, she grabs the radio and swings it at them. She flees, but they catch up and stop her, even choking her with her necklace. It breaks and Holly falls down the stairs. In Hawkins, 11 fixes the truck's position with 8 and Murray. Hopper talks to Joyce about 8. He has a bad feeling, but 11 won't listen. She thinks he doesn't believe in her. Joyce knows that's not true. Hopper says all that matters is that 11 makes it out alive. He promises to end 8 if anything happens to 11. He can't lose her. Joyce comforts him, reminding him it's one last crawl. Meanwhile, Max and Will talk about feeling useless and boost each other's confidence. They discuss how Max found a cave in Henry's memory he can't enter, proving Henry's still human and scared. In another room, Robin checks Mike's contraption using a music record to trigger the bomb. She thinks it'll work, but complains about Mike's song choice. The others pick weapons. Nancy asks if Steve knows how to use his choice. Steve admits he doesn't, but Dustin vouches for Steve's duck hunt skills. However, Dustin still leads Steve to the spears he and Eddie used. Steve brings up their argument and apologizes. He acknowledges Eddie saving them and admits he wasn't there for Dustin because he got angry about things being different. Steve says he missed his best friend. Dustin agrees, and they hug. Dustin then compliments Steve's beanstalk plan, adding that if it fails, they both go down. Steve agrees. Elsewhere, Erica and Scott secure the gate signal. Murray tries starting the truck, but encounters problems. With him busy, 8 and 11 talk in 11's mind about what happens after. 11 suggests ending Dr. K, but 8 says someone will replace her. 11 mentions Mike's suggestion of moving away, but 8 calls it a fantasy. They'll be found, Mike will be finished, and they'll make more numbers with 11's blood, creating more suffering children. 8 says they can end this cycle that night. After ending their brother and saving the children, they should stay on the bridge to vanish with the upside down. 11 cries as 8 claims it's the only way. Murray's loud truck snaps them back to reality. With the truck ready, they load supplies. Will finds Joyce. He explains that Vecna weakens people by turning their minds against them. Will fought back with happy memories, which helped him end demos and slow Vecna. But Vecna showed Will awful things by using Will's secrets. Max mentioned that Vecna is also afraid, proving they can defeat him. But Will must be honest. Mike suddenly enters, reminding them of the time. As he leaves, Will stops him, saying everyone should hear this. Once gathered, Will struggles to explain he's different. He doesn't like girls like they do. Jonathan smiles, and Robin nods supportively. Will admits he has a crush on someone, but that person is just his Tammy. What's important is he's okay with himself. Vecna showed Will his fear of others worrying about him, making him think something's wrong. He's afraid he'll push them away, drift apart, and become alone. Joyce says it'll never happen. He'll never lose her. Jonathan agrees. His brother and friends hug him. Robin chuckles that Will doesn't need a truth serum, while Max asks for a hug. Will then faces 11, saying that Vecna may escape into the physical world. Though weapons won't work, they must be prepared. Will needs to be there, showing he's no longer afraid. That night at Makazi, their truck approaches the first gate, which opens using Scott's signal. Erica reports hostile towers, and Hopper shoots down soldiers from a hidden spot within Makazed. The second gate soon opens. Dr. K and the soldiers fire at them. When the truck stops, Nancy appears on top and rains bullets on the soldiers. Hopper reaches the truck and climbs in. Murray then drives into the upside down. Dr. K sees 11 at the back. Inside, Hopper checks if everyone's okay and compliments Nancy's shooting. Robin asks if that was the easy part. Lucas confirms it was. Mike asks if 11 is ready. She confirms. The sisters nod at each other as the truck drives deeper. In Kamazotz, Henry lights candles, saying it's time. They hold hands, making a circle, and the kids fall into a trance. That's where Volume 2 ends. You're now prepared to watch that last episode. With just one volume left, the pieces are finally in place for the ultimate showdown. Everything has been building to this. In a few days, we'll finally see how it all comes to an end. So, what did you think of Volume 2? Were you shocked? What's your theory for how this all wraps up in the finale? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this volume really left us hanging. If you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification icon to stay updated on our next videos. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.